So today, very excitingly, and this is a little bit ad hoc because I suddenly got very excited about this event. So I thought I've got to speak to this woman. I'm speaking to Katie, who runs the Latte Lounge. I say latte, she says latte because I'm apparently very posh, so I'm going to say latte. But anyway, hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you? I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. No, it's really nice to meet you. We've been trying to do this for a while, and as two incredibly busy women doing lots of different things, it's been quite hard. So I'm glad that we got it together. The rush of it is because the Midlife Festival is starting on Monday, and we're going to talk a lot about that. And kind of what's going on next week and what people can get involved in and how that came about. But I'm always interested as to what kind of led you or led women to get involved in the sort of menopause circle and what started you off. So how did it all come about for you?
Yeah, so, well, it's not a gang I ever particularly dreamt that I was going to be part of, even be proud to be part of, but I actually am. Look, I'm 52 now, but I've got 4 kids, so obviously I'm a very busy mum working, blah, de, blah. But when I was 43, for over a 4-year period, I had really troubling symptoms, which I didn't realize were connected. So I was extremely tired. I was very depressed. I had anxiety, heart palpitations, brain fog, you name it, I had it. And I kept going back and forward to my doctor, and they kept diagnosing me with depression and offering me antidepressants. I was sent to early onset dementia. Well, no, I was told perhaps it was early onset dementia and I should see a neurologist.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was sent to all these specialists, orthopedic specialist and a heart specialist, and no one could find what was wrong with me. And I had to give up my job, which I loved. I was working at a charity at the time, marketing for a charity. And I became a shell of a woman. I put 4 stone of weight on, and I just didn't leave my house.
Can I just ask, and there's no one during that process, no point where anybody, medical or otherwise, tipped up and went, might be hormones, even just that word. It just wasn't.
No, I mean, they sort of started off saying, look, you're a busy mum, you've got 4 kids, maybe you're just trying to have it all, and maybe you should cut back on your work, maybe you should lose weight, maybe you should get fit. And it was that vicious circle where I was kind of comfort eating because I was so low, and then the more weight you put on, the more confident, and then you don't leave the house. And
yes, and it's a vicious circle, and so many women are still trapped in that circle. I fully hear you, right?
And I didn't.
Sorry,
go on. I was just going to say,
you're 52 now, and this was when you were 43.
43 to 47.
This is about 9 years ago. So this was still, this was in. Oh my God! So right. Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
So my periods were fluctuating, but I was still having periods, and I never had hot flushes, and nobody ever asked me about my periods at all or anything to do with hormones. Now, eventually I went round to my father, who is a breast cancer professor, and I cried on the bed, and I just said, Dad, I think I'm going mad. I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't know who I am. And he was the one that finally said, I think this is hormonal, Katie, and I think you need to go and see a gynecologist that he worked with at UCL. So
God bless your father. God bless that man.
God bless him for many reasons, because that was my light bulb moment. I went to see a wonderful gynecologist who actually writes the NICE guidelines for menopause care. And within half an hour of telling her my symptoms, she said, well, this is classic perimenopause. Word I'd never heard of. I just felt utter kind of relief that I wasn't going mad and that there was a reason for all of this. She prescribed HRT, and within about, I'll talk about that in a minute, but within about a month, I felt like a new woman. But to cut a long story short, I was so angry, as well as being relieved, I was very angry that no one else had figured this out and that I didn't know about it. So I kind of went home and I turned to Facebook, And at the time, you know, there were no Facebook groups talking about midlife. So I was following mums with baby groups who were talking about toddlers and play dates. And I just thought, well, I'm going to set up a Facebook group to see if anyone else can relate to what I'm talking about. And that night, I mean, I say this a lot, but that night I was blown away. I had 1,000 member requests in one evening. And I realized really quickly, hang on, okay, this is a massive issue. What the hell is, you know, what is going on? And the reason I then set it up as a website was because as a doctor's daughter, I felt a massive responsibility to all these women who were coming to the Facebook group saying similar stories to mine. Some were suicidal, some were, you know, just leaving jobs and whatever. So I put together a medical advisory team and a team of bloggers, and I thought we've got to support these women in whatever their problems are, because it's not just about perimenopause and menopause. They come to talk about their children's mental health problems. They come and talk about their parents who perhaps have got dementia or not well, and you know, problems with relationships or divorce. So I realized that there's a whole, you know, us midlife women, no one's looking after us. And so I kind of wanted it to, I called it the Latte Lounge because I wanted it to feel like a kind of coffee shop where you go with your friends and you talk about your life's problems.
Which is what we do, but of course we don't always hit upon the topics, we don't always talk about the big things, but also that kind of spreading the message and doing it on a much bigger platform than just relying on friends sitting together. And amazing.
So I just think, you know, I think having the ability, exactly as you said, you know, the internet can be a terrible place, but it can also be a wonderful place. And the Facebook group and the website have been enormous support, not just to me, but to thousands of women, you know, reaches women globally. And this, you know, now, you know, at the time I was a very lone voice. And I sort of hooked up with, I went to Meg Matthews' launch, and when she launched her Meg's Menopause, and I met Diane Danziger from our groups. And so what it's done is just kind of brought me together with all, you know, people like yourself, just wonderful women who just want to get on with their lives, feel better, but we need to be breaking this taboo. And
you're like the OG Meno warrior. You're the original.
Oh, I don't know. No, I think.
But you're back. I mean,
it's nearly 10 years.
Yes, exactly. Which I think feels very groundbreaking, actually, at the time, which is amazing. Well done, you.
Yeah. You. Thank you. Listen, I always wanted. It's funny. I always wanted to be a doctor. But I didn't have my dad's scientific brain, but what I got from him was his ability to empathize and look after women, but also to communicate. So, you know, I feel that I'm carrying on his baton in some way, that I can look after women in a slightly different way to the way he has, but using my skills, I guess, you know, again, like you as a communicator, to just get the word out there and make sure they're looked after properly.
Yeah.
So
amazing. Well, thank you so much for all of that. That's amazing. I mean, obviously the Midlife Festival is a huge part of that. Is this the first time you've done it, or is this as a repeating event? Is this something that you've done?
No. So every year on our birthday, I always like to mark it with something. So we've always had a sort of, the first few years we had an in-person spa day. We had Andrew McLean, we had Liz Earle at our second, third and fourth. And they were either in-person events where we had speakers, and just to mark the birthday. And also I linked up with the Eve Appeal charity. I wanted to make sure that we raised money and awareness through whatever I do. They're an amazing charity, and they look into research for the 5 gynae cancers. So It was always a charity day, but also awareness and celebration. But it's our 5th birthday year. And because of COVID and lockdown and everything's just been so miserable and dreary, I wanted to create a week-long festival. So this is our first week-long festival where we bring together, you know, the world's leading experts in menopause and breast cancer, but also some really well-known faces who can talk about all aspects of women's health and well-being, whether it's career coaching, nutrition, fitness, fashion, you know, whatever, health and well-being, and just bring them together in one place and celebrate midlife, but sort of end on a very positive note, but do address all the challenges as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So the Midlife Festival, it starts next Monday on the 11th and it runs to the 15th of October.
Yeah.
It is free. So that's, this is a phenomenal opportunity, people listening, watching, to, just get involved with this community, but also just, dipping out to these wonderful sessions where you're going to be listening to someone talk about something that might be a light bulb moment for you. It might be that thing where you're like, oh my gosh, that's me. That's that. And I need to listen to this person and think about what they've done. Maybe something similar will work for you. So I think it's an amazing event. So can you briefly break down kind of what's in store, if you like, for everyone?
Yeah, sure. So we've got a whole section on perimenopause and menopause. So we've got Dr. Louise Newson, who is talking about, what is perimenopause and what is menopause. We've then got Dr. Avram Blooming and Carol Tarvis, who are the authors of Estrogen Matters. They're in Los Angeles. They're sort of breaking it down into HRT and the whole breast cancer, myth busting.
Right, amazing.
And then obviously we've got my dad, who's talking much more about breast cancer. And then we've got Andrew McLean again, who's just wonderful. And she's reinvented herself since Loose Women as a life coach. So she's giving some really empowering talks. We've got an Olympian. We've got Michelle Griffiths I can't even speak today. Michelle Griffiths. Can I pronounce her name right? Sorry, Robinson. I don't know why I want to say Tomlinson. Michelle Griffiths Robinson. She's an Olympian. She's a personal trainer, but she's also a lifestyle coach and mentor.
Yeah.
We've got Lorraine Candy, former editor in Sunday Times, with Trish Halpin, and they do a brilliant podcast as well.
Who else? Postcards from Midlife.
Postcards from Midlife. We've got Dr. Philippa Kay, who's the Latte Lounge's resident doctor. She's also this morning's doctor, and she's talking with Karen Hobbs of the Eva Pill about gynae cancers and bowel cancer. But then we've got some really fun things. We've got Tova Lee, who's a brilliant, if anyone follows her, she's a very funny podcaster, author, performer, digital creator. Who else? We have some certified career and personal development coach from Rachel Schofield. I don't want to miss anyone out.
Oh, no, but I mean, people
sleep. Sorry, I must mention sleep because so many people suffer with sleep issues.
Yes.
We've got an amazing sleep therapist and nutritionist, as I said, fashion, beauty, makeup. And
presumably they can head to the website, they can get all the details and see the breakdown. And all they need to do is register. So register for free, and then they will receive information on how to access all of these different sessions. Are the sessions happening sort of live, one access only, or is it something that people can dip in and out of?
Yeah, so if you register, it's the midlifefestival.com, so it's 5 days, and every day, so for example, Monday, there's 4 or 5 talks on Monday, and you'll get an email once you register with the day's speakers, and you can watch them within that 24-hour period.
Oh, amazing.
Whenever you want to suit you, and then that comes down, and then the next day you'll get an email about Tuesday, and then all the way through to Friday.
Amazing. So there's an opportunity to catch up and watch when you can, because obviously, all of us running around like blue ass flies doing bits and pieces for work, home, etc. And it's 5 days of amazingness, basically. I cannot thank you enough for all of your amazing efforts within this field. I really, really like the fact that it's, the menopause conversation obviously is growing, and there's a lot of voices in there, but I do think that it's really refreshing to have something that is covering a whole span of things, because menopause is just one of the things that affects women in their midlife, sort of 40s, 50s, but there's lots of other things, and I really, really like the fact that you've got that sort of central community where people can then springboard off and say, well, actually, I need to talk about my teenagers because I'm really struggling with discipline, or I'm really struggling with their mental health, or whatever it is. That's really, really, because there's connectivity there. And I think sometimes when everything's in a separate place, people can get lost or fall between the cracks. So that's just amazing. So So before we finish, I'm just going to reiterate. So it's the midlifefestival.com. Yes. Yep. You can go there, register, you'll receive information per day. You can watch everything on that day, up to the end of that day. And, you know, when you're able to, so on a sort of catch-up basis. Amazing speakers. Is it four speakers per day, roughly?
We've got 25 speakers, I think. So there'll be about four or five over a day.
Each day, covering everything from menopause, breast cancer, gynae cancer, but also nutrition, well-being, HRT, no HRT, you know,
fitness,
food,
fashion.
Yes, fashion, everything. And it sounds to me like it's going to be just the most fantastic event to be part of. So amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today in our very, very brief, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew what was happening with the festival and to get involved with your community. So it's the Latte Lounge, which of course, that's also a Facebook. Is that also a Facebook group?
Yeah, so the Latte Lounge is within brackets, top tips for women over 40 is the Facebook group. And then the Latte Lounge is the page. And we're on Instagram at Lounge the Latte as well.
Yes, and also on Twitter as well. Twitter, if you go on my Twitter, you'll find Katie, you'll find the Latte Lounge anyway. So we're all together, but amazing. I can't wait. I'm going to be there dipping in and out, and some of those sessions sound absolutely fantastic. So well done, and thank you so much for organizing the week. And I don't know if I'll see you, but I'll virtually be there next week. Take care,
Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.